Well, shit. People actually liked my last video. This shouldn't be a bad thing. And I mean, it isn't a bad thing. But when you make something people like, there's sort of this pressure to make something better. I don't know if I have it in me. Is this it for me? Is this my decline into mediocrity? After only 3 videos? Is this my underground 2?
While the series may be experiencing a slow and painful death now, the Tony Hawk games were, at one point in time, some of the most popular games in the world. The Pro Skater games were fantastic, being some of the first games to create the perfect balance between realistic skating and fun gameplay. With amazing amounts of challenge, kick-ass soundtracks, awesome levels, these games just ejaculate entertainment. Wait, what the fuck? After the Pro Skater series had run its course though, it was time for Neversoft to step their game up if they wanted an edge on the rest of the skateboarding game market. That was a lie, there was no competition. And step up their game they did with Tony Hawk's Underground. While I haven't actually played Underground, I once watched a guy on YouTube talk about it, and I can say that I understand the amount of praise it got. The game changed the focus of the series in a way that you, the player, can relate to more. Instead of playing as professional skateboarders, collecting tapes and floating letters, you played as yourself, starting as a rookie skater in a poor neighborhood and eventually making it big. The game actually had a story, a good enough one that it even benefited the gameplay. Mix in the polished mechanics and the ability to get off your skateboard, which is more helpful than it sounds, and you've got what is probably the best game in the Tony Hawk series. So after developing something as great as Underground, was Neversoft even capable of making a better game? This is where Underground 2 comes in. Since story mode is the main appeal of both Underground 1 and 2, I'm gonna focus this video more on that than anything else. First things first though, let's create a character. You can use images as custom faces in the PC version. I'm playing as Nicolas Cage. So our story takes place sometime between National Treasure 1 and 2, where Mr. Cage decides to take up a career in skateboarding. He's just minding his own business, skating it up, when all of a sudden he's kidnapped. Wait, really? No one, did anything about that? He had a whole crowd of people watching him and no one tries to help or anything? So our hero wakes up in a warehouse with a bunch of other skaters and there's this guy with a chainsaw, but don't worry, it's actually Bam Margera, which is even more threatening really. So it turns out that Tony Hawk and Bam Margera snatched innocent people from their daily lives in order to recruit teammates for the World Destruction Tour, an event hosted by the two to see which team can cause the most mayhem on a round-the-globe trip. And in the style of middle school gym class, each captain takes turns picking teammates until Bam chooses a kid in a wheelchair over an actor that does his own stunts. But hey, that's okay. Tony's team has all the professional skaters, while Team Jackass over there has Fat-Ass McFartbutt and a cripple. Great choosing, Bam. Our first destination is the training room, which is actually a stage from Pro Skater 1. Here is where you can take the time to get used to the controls and learn that not much has really changed from Underground 1, or any of the other Tony Hawk games for that matter. You've got your flip tricks, your grab tricks, your grinds, basic Tony Hawk stuff. You've also got the ability to slow down time and perform new tricks, which again was in Underground 1. Don't get me wrong, the mechanics are great, but the lack of anything new is kind of disappointing. Anyway, our competition officially begins in Boston, Massachusetts, where we're first introduced to how missions work. Basically, each level has a huge list of missions you can do around the map, each worth a certain amount of points for your team. Depending on what difficulty you're playing on, you need a certain amount of points before you can advance. But you never need to complete all the missions, which is nice because some of them are really hard, god damn it! Each level also has multiple characters you can play as, each with their own missions so you can earn more points. There's always a professional skater, a skater that coincides with the location, and a special character that's usually riding something motor-powered. It's worth noting that you can complete any mission as any character, aside from the special character missions, which is something you probably want to do, since the more you skate as your custom character, the more you can increase their stats. Every level has some sort of huge mission that changes the map, allowing for new places to skate. In Boston, you can light some cannons and shoot down a construction site for some sweet new ramps. If you're a major asshole, that is, because you probably just killed a bunch of people, you soulless prick. But yeah, that's essentially how missions work. Once you've beaten enough missions and gained enough points, Tony will text you and allow you to move on to the next city in the tour. Not without some cutscenes though. Despite our actor trying his very best to fuck shit up, it would appear that Team Tony is behind in points at the end of the day in Boston. This is where we're introduced to the Wheel of Loogies, a roulette that either punishes or rewards whatever team is behind at the end of each level, all determined by spitting on it. Ew. The wheel is spun and the loogie is spat, and it turns out someone's going home. Never fear though, our character's the main character. We're not going home because then the game would suck. It's Bob Burnquist. It's always Bob Burnquist, every time you play story mode. Next stop, Barcelona. Barcelona is probably one of the best maps in the game. It has so much variety. You've got rooftops to drop from, spirals to grind down, half pipes to spine transfer over, and loads of places to set up combos. The missions here are pretty cool too. One of the bigger ones is to set a caged bull free, which causes it to run around the map and send you flying if you ride into it. It also poops everywhere, and one of the missions involves using the dung as a ramp and doing a grab trick. That's bullshit. On top of all that cool stuff, this map also has a really cool glitch. Go to the huge lizard fountain thing by the garden. Get off your skateboard and stand on one of its front hands and jump towards the mouth where the water is spraying out. You'll be launched up into the air and forced onto your board, but this isn't the glitch yet. You dumbass. Do a grab trick, but don't let go of the grab button. If you did it right, you won't fall off your board. Now you can skate around in an infinite trick and rack up all those points. You can even change grab tricks as you do this, which can get pretty silly. The best part? When you let go of the grab button, you land the trick. No falling and losing all your points. This is great for the high score missions if you're a dirty cheater, and what better way to end one of the coolest levels in the game than with Team Tony ahead for points, all thanks to Mr. Cage. But of course, once Team Jackoff is behind in points, the Wheel of Loogies calls for each side to switch rookie skaters, which means our protagonist is once again on the losing team. Along with this turn of events, our group of skaters learn that their secret tour isn't so secret anymore, with international news stations starting to cover the event. No worries though, we're done in Barcelona. Now we're moving on to Berlin. Berlin is an interesting level in story mode simply because of the fact that your skaters switch teams. Your pro skater for this level is Bam, and your special vehicle character is that kid in a wheelchair, who I haven't talked about much actually.
Mi grande chorizo es el jefe, mamacita.
He's a dick. As a map, Berlin is fantastic. Tons of rooftops and some really good places to combo grinds and manuals make this another one of the best maps in the game. It's also nice to see that while this game is huge on stereotypes, what with bullfighters in Barcelona and exaggerated Boston accents, they didn't go for any Nazi jokes in Germany. Anyways, we do some tricks, fuck some shit up, get points, and boom, we're done. Luckily, our beloved actor was able to get Team Jackass ahead in points once again, which wasn't too hard considering that rookie he switched with really sucks at everything. But of course, it's too early to celebrate because the rookies are switching again. Come the fuck on. This is also where we're introduced to
Nigel Beaverhausen.
some guy who's been following the competition since it started getting noticed. He wants exclusive video of the event, but Tony and Bam wanted to stay private, so they politely decline. Just fucking with you, they duct taped him to a wall. Off to Australia. Australia is a bit of a step down from the other levels, mostly because of this huge beach area where you can't ride your board, but it's not bad by any means. The stereotypes continue with your special characters being a shrimp vendor and an Aboriginal Australian, but they're inaccurate because Australians call shrimp prawns, and the native isn't getting beat up by the rest of the overly racist population. Also, this is unrelated, but for whatever reason my character's hand was emitting smoke during this level. Don't ask me why, because I don't know. After completing Australia, we learn that both teams are tied in points. Since your skater and Eric Sparrow, that rookie from the other team, were the last to get any points, the teams decide there should be a showdown. Whoever can do the craziest stunt moves on, and the other guy gets sent home. The teams decide that the stunt should revolve around messing with Nigel, whatever the fuck his name is, who started selling videos of the event, despite what happened in Berlin. Well, Eric, being the master prankster he is, decides to steal Nigel's clothes. Yeah. Great job. Turning on his own teammate, Bam decides to give Nigel's clothes to your character, so you can dress up as him and ruin his reputation. This introduces what will turn into a trend for the rest of the game, where you have to complete one final mission before you advance to the next level. This one isn't too hard. You just gotta cover some beachgoers in bird poop and set some construction workers on fire by farting on them. Yeah. And so Mr. Cage got all of Australia mad at Nigel, and Eric Sparrow was left behind and proceeded to get crushed by Nigel's big, fat butt. Oh, did I mention that Eric is the antagonist of the first Underground game? The game never mentions that. You're just supposed to know. Next up, New Orleans. Considering it's the second to last stage in story mode, New Orleans is a bit underwhelming. The map is so uniform and claustrophobic on the ground, making it easy to get lost. But there are some pretty interesting places for acid drops and spine transfers. There's also this really weird mission here. You're supposed to go to a graveyard and knock a bunch of skulls off of tombs, and doing so releases Satan's bowels all over the place. People turn into zombies and a giant gaping hole of hell appears in the middle of the city, then you're supposed to jump into it and grind in the circle, and I don't fucking know, man. This shit got out of control all of a sudden. Also, you can play as a guy on a tricycle. New Orleans is messed up. So despite our actor's assertiveness in Australia, Nigel Beaverbutt is still looking to score a recording deal with the skaters. It turns out he's been capturing the entire competition, but the very last location isn't available to the public. So long as the skaters get some footage, Nigel's new offer is to pay for the entire trip, which is an offer that just can't be refused. Especially since paying for the trip was supposed to be punishment for the losing team, and Team Tony is way behind in points. Or so the game wanted you to think. Boom! Wheel of Loogies, bitch! This time the Loogie landed on the equalizer. This means that the team behind in points can catch up by doing some sort of extreme stunt. In this case, they've got to steal a helicopter and do a bunch of tricks by dropping from it and back onto it. And who better to drop from a helicopter than the star of Firebirds himself?
I'm gonna kill him now!
So this is the extra mission after beating New Orleans, and it's pretty hard actually. The difficulty doesn't stem from dropping off the helicopter, but getting back on. You've got to have enough speed to jump as high as it, get off your board midair, and grab onto it. It can get pretty frustrating, but it's not impossible. After succeeding with his insane stunt, our hero finds the rest of the pro skaters getting arrested, because, you know, stealing a helicopter has repercussions. And so with only our protagonist and Tony making up our team, it's off to Skatopia, the last level of the game. Skatopia is yet another fantastic level, which is nice to see after Australia and New Orleans. It's essentially the skate park in the wilderness, with amazing locations for any tricks. Grinds, downhill manuals, spine transfers, this map has everything. It's also got the best special character in the game. 2 words, Bigfoot and a chainsaw-powered skateboard. Wait, no, that was like 6 words. Overall, the map is just a whole ton of fun. It's got so much to do and such little why is that even a thing? Anyways, you know the routine by now. Do some missions, get some points, fail the same mission over and over again because it's too goddamn hard, and you're at the final stretch of the game. Bam, being the major douchebag he is, decides that the best way to end the competition in a bang would be to set the goddamn skate park on fire. But this isn't even the intense part. Bam, once again, being the major fucking douchebag he is, left our protagonist stuck at the top of the skate park while it burns to the ground. To top off this shitty situation, our team is still behind in points. This is where it gets good though. Bam challenges our hero to make it all the way from the top corner of Skatopia down to the entrance in one combo. If he does it, Team Tony wins the tournament. This is it, the big finale, and goddamn is it hard. The whole park's on fire, so it's hard enough to see where you're going, let alone make it to the bottom in one combo. No guides, no bright flashing rails. How the combo goes is up to the player, and goddamn is it the best feeling in the world when you finally pull it off. Flying over the skate park entrance through the flames is your character, winning the entire competition for your team. Not only that, but you also get the satisfaction of publicly humiliating Nigel Beaversucker once again by letting him air that tape from Skatopia.
Hey, grab toilet paper, I need some toilet paper up here!
And then by pantsing him, all live on television. It's an ending that should bring a teardrop to any gamer's eye.
So yeah, there's Tony Hawk's Underground 2. Or the story mode at least. Is the gameplay any good? Hell yeah. It's a sequel to Underground, how could it have been bad? This game is pure, action-packed fun. The gameplay's great, the story's exciting, the soundtrack's amazing. So why did I make it sound bad at the start of the video? The problem with Underground 2 is simply that it could never be as good as Underground 1. I mean, sure, it's got all the right elements, but it's not gonna have that same impact the first game had. Anybody who's played the first Underground game knows what to expect. Really, the series wasn't gonna get any greater from there. Believe me, I love this game. It's definitely in my top 50 of all time. But I can understand why Tony Hawk fans were disappointed with it. So maybe my last video was the peak of my talent. Maybe I'm not going anywhere from here. Maybe this is my Underground 2. But believe me, if I can help it, I'm not going the same path as the Tony Hawk games. As long as I'm making videos, I'm going to improve. I'm going to keep you guys entertained. I'm going to grow my channel. And most importantly, I'm going to play some video games.
Oh god, that was lame. Beep, boop, boop, beep. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, you can check out my other videos. Beep, boop, boop, beep. If you don't want to watch any more of my videos, then I highly recommend checking out Tentacle Touchy's video on Tony Hawk's Underground 1. I also recommend checking out Royal Blue or Microsoft Gaming.